I saw a kid in Khalil Herbert who took some opportunities to make some runs, to make a
Yep.
couple of guys miss, to run
To
hard.
go, to
Yeah, to
go.
go.
And this
And
is what
Dan,
frustrates
Dan,
me.
Dan, 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 hold up. I gotta tell you this. I know everybody's been saying with David Montgomery, they're saying like that there's holes there and that he's not hitting them hard enough. But when you break it down in slow motion, that could be true in some sense. But then also as well, when you watch the film and break it down, those holes are closing up. Guys are getting, reached over, and then that hole is it's closed up with a man inside of there. And so he just, in some ways, it's some of David Montgomery's fault. I get it, but then also it's the blocking scheme as well. It was just not good luck for him on that day. Where when you look at the runs by Khalil Herbert, man, the blocking looked a lot better. And I don't know. I'm not feeding into they're not blocking for David Montgomery. That's not it. It's just some days that's how it goes when you're sharing carries in the backfield, right? It's your day, and then it's somebody else's day. So it's going to be interesting to see. He only had like 30% of the snaps Khalil Herbert did. Does that change going into this week up in Green Bay?
Well, it's interesting to hear you break it down that way too, because sometimes I get frustrated with Montgomery, and I know he's a better football player than Khalil Herbert. If you tell me I got to play a game and I'm going to have one of those running backs be my guy this game, I'm taking Montgomery 10 times out of 10. And so don't get me wrong on this, but it's sometimes to me I need less read and react, less look for contact, or he doesn't have to use all of his moves on every run. Sometimes it's not fancy. Here's the ball, get that way, and if somebody's in the hole, stiff arm him. If somebody cuts off that angle, spin away from him. And I know he loves the yards after contact, but at least Herbert sometimes is like, I'm going to go, and he goes. And I'm not doubting you for a second, but it's always been something with Montgomery where I've been a little frustrated with how long it takes for him to get into where the hole is going to be.
Yeah, Dan, I get it. It really comes down to, I think, what he kind of prefers. And if you have watched him over his career and just watched those all 22s, I mean, it's out of the shotgun is not where he's the most productive, I think, in my opinion. I think he's a guy that dots the I. He needs a fullback. And with that sense of, having that fullback on the roster, I want to see Luke Getsy use that a little bit. And if both guys, for Khalil Herbert, he feels comfortable there. With Montgomery, he's a guy that I feel like he does have those moves. You want to see him. And where he's special is when he does get to that second level and he's able to be able to use his physicality and get there to that next level and then make a couple of moves. It doesn't help. I've had a lot of running backs coaches tell me, like, don't be making those moves like 3 yards back in the backfield. Like that, then you're wrong. But also it's what he's seeing as well. And so I'm hoping that they find a way to kind of stretch this out a little bit. And the reason why I love outside zone, and I'll be preaching this for until I'm dead, because I love it because it makes you stay consistent on getting to that point where you have to get there and then make your read, either to a tight end or to a ghost tight end, and running to that point and then getting there and say, okay, here's the hole. I'm running to the hole, or have the opportunity to be able to cut it back and then do what you do so special, and that's make a guy miss and then get to that next level. So I've always loved it. It keeps you patient. I think both of these guys are patient runners when it comes to that. Khalil Herbert right now is really showing his as a young running back how patient he is, his ability to have that vision, and also his toughness as well, man. I'm breaking down the runs going, this kid's got a nice future. So that's, like I said, I think it's going to be interesting to see if his carries and his workload kind of moves up a little bit and how that kind of, shapes that dynamic between him and Montgomery.
Jarrett, what's key for this game against Green Bay?
Oh, I really think it's making Aaron Rodgers feel uncomfortable in the pocket, pressure, but then also knowing that he's one of these guys that once you bring that pressure, whether it's up the middle or on the outside, you're rushing, whatever it is, he'll find a way to escape. He's not as fast as he used to be, but he's so smart that he's seen everything. He still has that ability to use his feet to get out of trouble. So you have to pick your poison the way that you're bringing pressure on Sunday night. I think, making him feel uncomfortable, hitting him, sacking him. I'm hoping Dominique Robinson has another big-time game. I mean, if Bears fans are watching that young man play, you got to tip your cap to him, man, because all the different switches of positions that he's had throughout his career to where he is now, it's phenomenal. And I think on the back end of that defense, finding a way to kind of keep everything in front of you just a little bit and no big explosive plays down the football field. For me, also on the offensive side, they got to figure out a way to run the ball, control the game on the ground, control the clock, control the tempo and the pace. Because if they can do that, then keeping Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines drinking, Gatorade or throwing iPads or whatever he's doing, that is always going to play in the favor of the Bears. And I want to see this week Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet have big games. If they're going to win this game, those two guys have to find a way to be able to be big parts and make big-time plays. And for Cole Kmet, to me, I think that's inside that middle of the field, in between those hashes. Can he find ways to, when it's zone, because last week you saw a lot with the 49ers playing a lot of zone, different types of zone. They just were like, we're not going to let you take these shots down the field. We're going to keep everything in front of us. Can you read it? Hence the reason why you saw that interception by Justin. Can they find a way to be able to take some shots? I really like, and I'm going to go back to it, that outside zone, that stretch, those boots, and then next thing you know, Justin coming back around. And defense has got to pick their poison playing against Justin, man. They can't just drop back. They got to have guys spying on him because his ability to run the football. So I think Luke Getsy has the opportunity to really take advantage, hopefully this week, going up against their rivals up there in Green Bay. But to me, I think this is an opportunity to get a win for this Bears team, man. They got the win behind them. They got a lot of momentum, and they got a bunch of young guys that don't know any better, right? They're just going up and going to play. Guys like Jaquan Brisker, like if you want somebody on your football team that has that football mentality that just doesn't care, that's going to hit you, I think Jaquan Brisker is probably going to be the best thing for Eddie Jackson. Seriously. I mean, and hopefully he gets a chance to do what he's been doing, roaming a little bit, doing what he does best. And Jaquan Brisker being that guy that can come down, stop the run, be in the hole. Like, I love this. There's a lot of parts on this Bears roster right now that I know everybody wants to see the wins. I get that. But to see the development of these young guys on this roster, the guys that were drafted, if we can keep seeing that progression and watching this team be as disciplined as they were in the 3 preseason games that we saw, and then in week 1, it's going to give this team that a lot of people have been counting out, not giving any credit to, it's going to give them opportunities to win ball games like they did on Sunday down by the lakefront.